AskReddit by Sagigius. How did you waste your 20s? Serious. Attention, serious, tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. https://www.reddit.com/r/wiki/wiki_rule_6- -in any comment parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please, contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message compose ?to =r AskReddit if you have any questions or concerns. Multiple disabilities. Most of them went away when I found out at age 32 that I was iron deficient. What were some of your symptoms? I feel like I'm constantly being told that I'm depressed when I'm not sad. I'm just lethargic and in pain. Sometimes I think it's more medical than it is psychological. Deleted. At least you realize that now and that makes you able to grow. I bet a ton of people never see their own mistakes. Depression. Spent 7 years of college in my dorm apartment reading books and taking naps. Instead of regular 4 years of studies, I'm in my 8th now, and still not done. My depression made life so long and slow at the same time. Being too shy. To anyone younger reading this, take risks. Ask that person out. Go to that local event you've been eyeing. Strike up a conversation with a cool looking stranger. Get up on stage at a karaoke night. Volunteer. Join a club. Life is not a movie and there is no magical special person that will notice you and come pull you into the light. You have to do that yourself. This is literally what changed my life around. Life becomes so full of meaning when you get that excitement to do things back. No ambition. Lack of foresight. No goals. I spent so much time stressing out about my future that I never actually lived in the present. For me it was too much ambition early on in life, and then by the time my 20s came around I became very disillusioned. Felt like life was mundane and nothing brought joy to me anymore, so I hardly did anything. Literally wasted a bunch of time doing nothing. I always thought I was already too old. I'm 25, I'm too old. I remember saying I'm old when I was 23. Now I'm in my 30s and I cringe thinking what an idiot I was. However, now I realize I'll be saying the same shit about my 30s in my 40s, so it gives me perspective to enjoy myself now. Many people here on Reddit would concur that 30s is still young too. Today is the youngest you'll ever be again, so enjoy it. Too scared of my parents to stand up to them and live life how I want. Same, I'm turning 26 next month and I don't know if can even make up for last year's I wasted. I pursued a career in a field that wasn't right for me. Did you find one you liked or at least tolerate? Thing about your 20s is, no matter how you spent it, you'll wonder about the other path. Party, get wasted, spend everything you earn traveling the world. You'll wish you'd been more studious and built better foundations. Study hard, work diligently, build good foundations. You'll wish you'd partied and had more fun like the others did. People always say that with hard work you can become anything you want, but they forget to mention you cannot become everything you want. You can only do one thing at a time, and that's so frustrating XD. Didn't really have a game plan for making a living, and waited too long to figure one out. Also was too caught up in my feelings to act on a lot of good dating options I didn't realize I had, which would have been fun. Things worked out great anyways, but still. Any advice for a dumb kid who's just about to graduate high school and has no idea what they wanna do for a living? Me, lol. I did a PhD. The first time I made more than $30K in a year, I was 31 years old. Fuck academia. Academia nuts. I'm 28 and I've done nothing, no trips, haven't seen any music live, never go out, all I do is work and sleep. Like today for example, all I did was work and now I'm going to sleep soon so I can do the same thing tomorrow. Honestly, I hate life. I've had a total of 6 days vacation since I turned 20. I got a zoo pass 2 years ago and that's the highlight of my 20s so far. I'm in the same place in life. Feels like nothing is happening in my life. Just work, eat, sleep. One thing I changed this year is that I've taken to traveling. I will take a vacation this October. Won't just be my second this year, but second in life. I've realized that the only way to make life better is to want it more than anything else. Fighting endless wars, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and everywhere else around the world. Wasted my 20s, all my 30s and half my 40s fighting. For what, you ask? I have no idea now. Same here, except for Syria. Did work in Bosnia and South Africa for a while though. I spent the entirety gripped by an eating disorder. Obsessed with food, weight in and out of hospital, harming organs, teeth, mental health. Such a waste of a prime decade. Wish I could turn back time. Me too. Got into recovery for 12 years only to relapse in my late 30s again. Stay vigilant. Drinking heavily. Heavily. We'll never get those years back. Thankfully, I realized while I couldn't go back and change the start, I could decide to change the ending. 10 years sober this month. Edit. My goodness, this blew up. To anyone else struggling or in recovery, there is help. There are people who will help. The thing that dawned on me is that I was despairing for the future because I thought it would always suck. But my drinking was also making it suck. I decided I had no right blaming the world for a terrible future if I also contributed to make the future terrible. So I decided to do everything I could to make it good. And then when it still was terrible, then I could hate the world. Funnily enough, the future got better, and I didn't need to hate blame the world or myself. Congrats, 8 years from opiates sober here. Suffering from severe clinical depression, I barely left my bedroom. The years feel intangible to me. I might as well have been in a coma. Being sad about a failed relationship and damp career. I wasted mine in the opposite way. Spent it in a failed relationship and career. Hated life every day. I remember literally waking up and instantly crying before I got out of bed because I really didn't want to do whatever I was about to do or be where I was. Eventually I just quit my job and left my girlfriend and life got worse for about 8 months or so. But after that, life has been wonderful. By getting fat and then getting so depressed by that I effectively cut myself out of everyone's lives cause I was too embarrassed to be seen by old flames, friends, or people who knew me a certain way. Do not recommend. I lived like that for over a decade. Didn't find the motivation and conviction to change things until I was 35. I got the weight off, but the long-term effects on my body and my mental health, those will always be a work in progress. I'm happy now, and I'm grateful for that. I also do not recommend. Edit. I know it's been a while since my comment, but if anyone is still reading it, and you're living this now, and you want to get out, feel free to send me a private message. I'll tell you what I did, what worked, what didn't work. I wish everyone could make the changes I've made. Not trying to sell anything, just genuinely offering to share my story, maybe offer up some inspiration for somebody. You can change your life. It's hard, but it's entirely worth it. Being scared of people and letting people take advantage of me. People would borrow what little money I had, with and without permission, and never pay me back. I think without permission is called stealing. In my room alone and depressed. Greatest years my ass. I remember looking at the passenger seat in my car and realizing no one had been in my car for at least 6 months. Spent too much time watching TV movies and hanging out with myself alone. Spent too much time and money on alcohol in my late 20s. Oh, and watching way too much porn. To be fair, hanging out alone isn't all that bad. Maybe I'm just one of the few loners who don't mind being alone, and company of friends is more of a nice bonus, like I can live with just books and my devices. Alone does not equal lonely. Far too much time spent on my career and not nearly enough on friends and family. Can't say it wasn't financially rewarding, but I'd give that all up for more time with friends and family who have since died. Same here. Now I have nice house, car, financially stable life etc, but I don't have friends. I'm jealous of those who have a group of friends and can have fun together. Wasted it having an eating disorder and worrying too much about my body and what other people thought. Tons of therapy later and things are way better. I don't give two fucks about wearing my robe into the gas station to get my coffee. Deleted. Drank, nearly every day. Certainly every day I could. Same. Started drinking daily at 21. I blacked out one night, and I turned 33 on Tuesday. But I've been sober for a little over a year and things are great now. Being too poor. On top of that, being too depressed to be able to climb out of the monumental hole to be able to change anything. Thankfully, I did eventually make that climb. But now I'm in my 30s, wishing I could do the stupid things that I would have done in my 20s with this kind of money, but knowing better, so I can't. P. How did you get out of the hole? Asking as a 25 years old in the hole. College. I applied for tons of internships but never got my foot in the door anywhere. I had good grades but there's always someone better. It seriously feels as if no human has ever seen any of my applications because I never heard anything back. It's as if I don't exist. I spent just about everything on the courses and textbooks and software. I never got to use any of what I learned. Now, years later, nearly everything I learned is obsolete. Every job application remains unread. I have nothing to show for my hard work except a lot of pain. What did you major in? Mental illness. Never wanted to go to the DR due to past trauma and spent too much time unmedicated. Got involved with a guy 10 years older than me who was an abusive drunk who constantly cheated on me. Didn't pull my head out of my ass until late 20s and went to college. Drank too much. Depression will make ya lose sight of a lot of shit and out you in isolation. Drugs. I sold my dreams for numb and hatred. I wallowed in grief and got high. A wasted waste of a decade. Married an addict who was 10 years older. Kept me from going to school and had to work constantly to make rent. Believed too many promises. I'm currently wasting my 20s by replying to this post. Glad to have you here with us. No ambition. Expected great things to just happen to me. Put almost no effort into college or finding a job after that. Finally landed a job at 27 working for a newspaper making low wages for second shifts that stole my weekends and afternoons. Never looked at the bigger picture of how much of my life I was wasting because I didn't take the time to realize it could have been better. Finally shifted careers into it and at least I have my weekends now in my 30s and I'm making more but still a long way to go. Crippling depression still my 20s. Got my BA, spent 3 years unemployed, teetered on the edge of full-blown alcoholism, got really pissed at the world, Took a job I hated and barely required any education. Had a supervisor that told me I'd never amount to anything. Started to bust my ass just to spite said supervisor and more than doubled my income in 5 years. Spite is a great motivator to break out of a rut. Especially when the person putting you down chuckled when you asked for a day off so your dog can get life-saving surgery. Now I'm in my 30s and my old supervisor now has to ask me for permission for things. Still have my dog too. Being depressed and just hiding out at home after work and on the weekends. I was in a cult from the time I was 16-28. I grieve for that time I missed when I should have been doing dumb shit with friends and traveling. Thankfully I was able to maintain a fair amount of my relationships outside the cult because that was a non-negotiable for me. I've renewed those friendships and made them stronger. Enjoy my 30s being free. Got married way too young. Same. I was 19 and stupid but convinced I was a whole adult. Dated the wrong girl for 5 years. Same, met when we were 19-21. Had this vision of a life together that just wasn't what was happening. I was the more extroverted one in the relationship. I had plans and the mental fortitude to pursue many things and achieve at least some goals. She wanted nothing. Work, TV, phone, weed, sex, sleep, repeat. Sure, we traveled a bit. Did events together occasionally, and I'm sure there are other men and women who would be perfectly happy with her. We were kind to each other. But 2 years on my own and I realize I'm lucky she broke up with me. I couldn't stand watching her wasting, her life, but I would have 100% spent the next decade of my life trying to convince myself I was satisfied with when I wasn't. Stayed home, smoked weed, became lazy and fat. Developed social anxiety. Age 24. I had enough and went cold turkey. Got a factory job, breaking my back. Decided to lose weight. Ate healthy for 3 years. Left that factory job, went to college. Today, I am in it doing the best job in the world and getting paid for it. I'm more fit, no more anxiety, and I can't stand the smell of weed. Life is what you make it. If you put in some effort and make changes, it will pay off. Just do it, don't say it. Don't think it. Stay humble while doing so. Good things will flow your way. Absolutely same here. For the first half of my 20s. Sat at home, hung out with no one, did no exercise or self-care whatsoever, and threw on around 55 pounds with a light garnish of depression. Realized how I messed myself over by trying to do anything physical and ending up out of breath, or even worse, realize I had no clue how to hang out with people. Still, I finally started to kick myself into gear, and now at 26 I can actually do stuff and have friendships. Took a lot of work, no lie, and I wished I did it sooner at 20, but it is for sure better late than never. Working too damned hard and trying to finish my degree at the same time. I wish I'd goofed off more. Drugs and pussy. Could have been worse. See, my regret is not enough drugs and pussy. Procrastinating. Anything that involved making some sort of appointment or phone call I always put off. Would generally try to devote time to doing errands all at once and putting things off instead of taking tasks on as they come. Keeping a calendar and making a checklist is something I adopted in my 30s and I wish I started earlier. Drugs, sex and working in places that didn't respect my time. Now, I'm in my 30s, sober, brain damage from the drugs. Terrible depression and sleep disorder. No sex and I just got fired from my job. Don't be like me. I spent my high school years doing an obscene amount of ecstasy and smoking weed and it definitely affected my brain function. Life is much more challenging and I have to work twice as hard as my peers to achieve the same results. I often forget what I'm saying in the middle of my sentence. My short-term memory and working memory is absolute garbage. Anyone under 25 and especially teenagers who are reading this should heed the warning: experiment with drugs in moderation when your brain is done developing. Otherwise you are causing permanent long-term brain damage. burnt out from school and denied doing what I truly wanted to do only to do something tangential to my ultimate career path. And graduating at the start of a shitty recession. I was a Jehovah's Witness. I'm actually really lucky that the only thing I can think of is not investing more into my retirement. My 20s brought me independence from a toxic family, my wife, a job I absolutely love and a heap of confidence I didn't have. I dealt with a spate of horrific depression and decision making, but my wife walked with me through therapy and it was absolutely life changing. Anxiety. Way too much insecurity about being single whenever I wasn't dating someone.